Hello everyone, this is a quick update for Historathon 2026 Q1. A couple of books that I'm reading, have read, and have just started as well, and which is also a new purchase from a little mini book haul, which I'll either do this video or the next one. So the book that I'm reading, the second book for Q1, is this one. So P.J. Rhodes, who is the author of this one, and if you can't see that, can you see that? Anyway, A History of the Classical Greek World 478 to 323 by P.J. Rhodes. And P.J. Rhodes is, or was, a professor of ancient history at Durham University here in England, and taught and lectured for 40 years in the academy. So yeah, and this one is obviously part of the Blackwell series, Blackwell History of the Ancient World series. And yeah, I'm not sure whether there are different editions. Some of these other titles in the series have different editions, newer editions. But anyway, yeah, there's that. And I've kind of got halfway through it where my thingy-bob is, which means that I've kind of covered the 5th century, the Golden Age, and all that kind of stuff, where it all happened, all the philosophy and the thinking and the democracy, etc., and so forth. 5th century. And, well, I'm considering kind of sort of DNFing it for now and picking it up next year to allow me to get on to other things, like Christian Meyer's Athens and the like. So, but yeah. Not an easy read. If you're considering it, it's not a straightforward read. It's a bit like a university lecturer who wants his students to think through everything. So every 4, 5, or 6 sentences, the wording is completely jarringly wrong. And thus, as I've said, it's that kind of book. It's requires even more than just mere application. But if you're of an inclination or a mind for such an effort, shall we say, I mean, this is like triple the effort in reading. Well, then I think it kind of sort of pays out, in more or less, in the end, and is, well, I want to say it's really good because I'd never read anything about the Peloponnesian War or the period in between the Persian and the Peloponnesian. So, when we read this stuff for the first time, it's for the first time. So it's fantastic. Yeah. So but there it is. That's my reckoning of it and reading of it so far. The thing I bought recently is a Penguin classic, and that is Greek Literature, an Anthology. And yeah, this one is, it has a neat little introduction, nice little introduction, and says some sort of kind of neat, nifty things, really. Some really good things. But it's very short, little introduction, and then it gets going. So it's broken up into, if you're not familiar, different parts. And the first part is Homer and Hesiod, and then it does personal and lyric poetry, and it runs through about a dozen or more persons beginning in the 7th century BC, and literally it just gives, and Michael Grant is the editor, and he's picking out things that he hopes will kind of give a good understanding of how things are in Greek literature. And he picks translations here and there. So each one. So for instance, there's for Alkman, there's only hardly even 2 pages, and there's 3 poems, and none of them are more than about 7 or 8 lines from beginning to end. But they're translated by different people. Yeah. Well. And that's how it goes. But of course, well, there are so many people who feature in it. I mean, the personal and lyric poetry has over a dozen people. Part 3 is the 5th century Athenian drama. That's a shorter list. There's only 3 historians that we know about: Herodotus, Thucydides, and Xenophon, of course. But then for physicians, orators, and philosophers, there's over half a dozen. And for Hellenistic poetry, there's again more than a dozen. And it goes on. Part 7, history and criticism in Hellenistic and Roman imperial times. So that includes Polybius. Part 8, Greek epigrams in Roman imperial times. Another more than half a dozen of them, including Lucian. Part 8, philosophy, biography, satire, and medicine in Roman imperial times, including Plutarch and Galen, of course. And the Greek novel follows that. And then the last great pagan philosopher, Plotinus. So there's sort of kind of over 450 pages. And that, interestingly enough, the front cover is from a funeral chorus of women from a Greek wall painting from a tomb of the 5th century BC. Unbelievably. And the middle one looks like it's from the Bayeux Tapestry, amazingly enough. And the other 2 look like they're a bit better. But anyway, that's sort of weaving versus painting, so one's easier than the other, presumably. But anyway, that's what I'm having a look at yesterday and today. And yeah, pretty amazing stuff, really. They're kind of typically, I'm gonna guess that they're sort of typically Greek, ancient Greek. They're just sort of kind of human, very human, you know. Oh, girls of honey sweet voices, my limbs are weak, they will not bear me. I wish I were a carefree kingfisher, flying over flowering foam with the halcyons, sea blue holy birds of spring. Old Age by Alkman. Happy Valentine's Day in a couple of days' time, isn't it? Yeah. 12/14. Yep. Oh, and this one caught my attention. Let me read you out this one. From Archilochus. It's called Boredom. What breaks me, young friend, is tasteless desire. Dead iambics. Boring dinners. So, the other main point, the second part of this, or what was the main idea, was from my book haul. Not only did I get that Greek literature, but I bought a dictionary. That one. Nice chunky thing from Chambers. But it followed on from, or rather it twinned with this charming used copy. And this has been my dictionary for many years now. It's from I've had it since 1996. This is the 11th edition from 2008. So, how have they changed? I mean, words can't really change that much, surely. They can't really change that much in definition. But maybe they do. And so I kind of looked up a few words to begin with, and it turns out that between 1996 and 2008, the English language has been going through a little bit of a adjustment, or is that too financially minded? It's been through kind of some change. It sees some change, definitely. So I had thought about looking at my notes here, kind of going through the difference between kind of words like liberal and liberty and conservative and tradition and patriot and cosmopolitan and social and class, but I decided not to. Don't know why. And I focused on history, literature, and philosophy and some associated words. So, in the entry for history in the 1996 edition, okay, can it really have changed that much? Well, the first thing that I came across was that the structure of the dictionary has completely changed. So, what we have for perhaps lots of words is, instead of separate entries for individual words, an associated set of words are grouped under one heading, or therefore one entry for a word. So, in this one, the 1996, we've got all the various things like historic, historical, historicism, historicity, historiographer, and historiography, as well as history. Whereas those words are not present in that one. It is not there. It all appears under history. And can they possibly have changed the definition in just 12 years? Well, yeah. History. And that's not the only change. The other change is, in this one, I can see all the words and the descriptions much better, much easier. With a subtle change, this one, now, I wouldn't choose the 2008. The 1996 was better. And the 1996 has, within a word like history, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. 5 it does as well. So 1, the past, events, etc. that happened in the past. 2, a record or account of past events and developments. 3, everything that is known about past events connected with a particular nation, the world, a person, such as kings and queens are part of our history. 4, a past full of events and of more than unusual interest, a house with an interesting history, for example. 5, a play which represents historical events. Make history, to do something important or memorable, especially to be the first person to achieve something. From the Greek, historia, from the word histor, or knowing. And then the third thing that's better about the 1996 than the newer 2008 is that there's a little grey box like them, and that's the thesaurus for each word, or for the words they've given a thesaurus for. Whereas in this one, nothing there. Haven't bothered. Presumably they want to sell you a separate thesaurus. I thought I'd buy it and find out just how good it was or how bad it was. And, in 12 years, in just 12 years, it's got worse for a number of reasons. And it says here, for history, an account of an event. A systematic account of the origin and progress of the world, a nation, an institution, a science, etc. The knowledge of past events. The academic discipline of understanding or interpreting past events. A course of events. A life story. An eventful life. A past of more than common interest. A drama representing historical events. Which, if you following all that, is somewhat different. And it gives historicism. And the entry for historian, which of course applies to all of Historathon, including 2026. In 1996, a historian is a person who studies or writes about history. No guesses. And a historian in 2008, alas, is merely a writer of history, usually in the sense of an expert or an authority. So definitely not a person who simply studies history. So that's us lot. Out the door. We can't call ourselves historians anymore. In 2008. No, not allowed. Right, that's history. Oh, yes. As you do, casting your eye over the page, there's another word called hipsters, which is quite interesting in actual fact. Hipsters in 1996 is trousers which hang from the hips rather than the waist. Whereas by 2008, have a guess what hipster means now. If I can find it. A hipster, a person who knows and appreciates up-to-date jazz. A member of the Beat generation, 1950s and early 1960s. Yeah, who knew? And it's not even Prince Harry. Or perhaps it is Prince Harry nowadays. And the subsequent generation edition. I don't know. But anyway, there it is. A hipster. Literature. Gaineth the whole of. Literature. Written material of high quality, valued for its language and content, such as novels, poems, and plays. Written material of high quality, valued for its language and content, such as novels, poems, and plays. Literature. The art of composition in prose and verse. The art of composition in prose and verse. That's what literature is in 2008. So I'm pretty sure that literature is written material of high quality, valued for its language and content, such as novels, poems, and plays. Yeah. An associated word with, no, it's not really very associated, but a word I looked up, I think possibly in association with the word liberty, is a libertine. And I think this is culturally significant in terms of it's about culture. It's commentary to culture. Tell me if I'm wrong. Libertine. Libertine, where are you? Yes, so I got it. Libertine in 1996 in a British, because I think Chambers is kind of a bit Scottish, but obviously it's very English, very English and or British. Libertine. I mean, libertine. The noun. Surely a libertine is a person, especially a man, who leads a life not bound by the generally accepted rules of morality. A person who leads a life, probably not so much of a man in 2008, but anyway, a person who leads a life not bound by the generally accepted rules of morality. And then again, well, anyway, there are plenty of females that I was aware of being libertine-ish, surely in the 90s and probably before then. Anyway, a person who leads a life not bound by the generally accepted rules of morality. 1996. In 2008, a libertine, which appears in amongst the word liberty, is a person who leads a licentious life, a rake or debauchee. Philosophy. Philosophy. This is perhaps similar as well. This is very English, I think. The search for truth and knowledge concerning the universe, human existence, perception, and behavior, pursued by means of reflection, reasoning, and argument. And the second meaning is any particular system or set of beliefs established as a result of this. Whereas, amazingly enough, philosophy, the word philosophy, has no entry. It doesn't have its own entry in the 2008 Chambers Dictionary. It merely appears in amongst philosopher. A little bit further down, philosophy. Philosophy is the pursuit of wisdom and knowledge. Investigation or contemplation of the nature of being. Knowledge of the causes and laws of all things. The principles underlying any sphere of knowledge. Reasoning, a particular philosophical system. It says a few other things and then follows on with a philosopher's stone and so forth. But they're different, aren't they? I don't know whether it's worth hearing it back or something, but reading it back, literature and philosophy in particular are very different just literally between 1996 and 2008. As if something has sort of happened. I mean, libertine. The definition of a libertine is exactly what it says in 1996. And the 2008 is not wrong. It's definitely not wrong. It is a sort of a kind of a person leading a licentious life, like a rake or a debauchee. But it's not quite sort of fully correct in its definition. It's just giving you a kind of a sense of the meaning of the word. And that's perhaps good enough. But it's not kind of entirely properly correct. Am I right? I think I'm right, and I think that's kind of very English. Yeah. Okay. I did look up the word classics as well, but it might be of interest. But I can't remember. So we'll leave classics. Yeah. It's a little thing that I thought was pretty interesting. Yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover or something. I mean, yeah, fully beat up and generally well used. And I did mention this in a previous video. I start on, not in the mid word there, but it only goes up to utopia. I've lost so many pages there. I only get to utopia. Anyway, here's the new version without the thesaurus element of a nice Chambers Dictionary. Apparently. But is it any better? Well, maybe change means something worse. How about it? You never know, it might be the case. Maybe, of course, I'm rather familiar with this one, so I kind of like it. And this one's different, so I kind of don't, because I'm familiar with this one. And yeah. But then again, it's really interesting, oddly enough. It seems I've looked at kind of a whole bunch of other words as well. Well, a few other words, some other words. And yeah, there is surprising, if not shocking, difference between the definitions of words in such a short period of time. Rapid change, so it would seem. So, yeah, that's a couple of little new purchases and another little dimension for things on BookTube. And well, I hope you enjoyed that and gained something from it. Please like and subscribe, and yeah, bye for now.